Mark Kepp with Campground.com. I'm coming to you live with a special guest here. Our guest is Patrick Hardy, and Patrick and I met about 2 years ago, and I want to share the story about how we met because it'll explain why he's live here with us today. So about 2 years ago, I was at a California Association of RV Park events down at Pechanga Casino, and the day was dedicated to disaster planning and being aware of legal issues and so forth. And they had some people from like the FBI and Border Patrol who were giving presentations. And I was there doing videography during the event. And so I walked outside and there was this guy over in the corner and he looked really nervous and he was pacing back and forth. And I was like, I walked up and I'm like, hey, buddy, are you all right? Do you need anything? He's like, no, I'm good. I'm the next person that goes on. And I'm like, oh, good God. It's my kind of story. Well, if you need anything, let me know. And so I walked away. Yeah. I walked away and I went back inside to continue videotaping. And I saw Patrick walk in and he still looked nervous. And I was just like, I was praying for him, like, oh, good God, I hope this guy does well because otherwise it'd be a long day. And they introduced him. And the second Patrick was introduced, it was like seeing a star walk onto stage. It was like, good God, it was one of the most amazing presentations I've ever seen. In fact, the video I produced of it, you'll see what happened. Literally as Patrick starts, I'm like, oh my God, this will be good. And I ran outside to do a video intro and I was literally like, hey, something awesome is going on inside. Let's go check it out. And then I prepared that video. So I'll share that with you. So what Patrick Hardy does and who he's with is he's the founder and CEO of Hytropy. Their website is reversedisaster.com. And the reason I'm bringing him to you today is so that you can make sure to add on to your calendar for all of you going to ARVC OHCE in November in Knoxville to make sure you add on the Monday pre-event. This is being led by Patrick, and I can promise you, I will literally put my reputation on the line that it will be the highlight of your experience at OHCE.
Thank you.
Bar none. And if you take what you're going to learn there and apply it to your park, you're going to make your park safer. You're going to make your guests safer, and you're going to have a plan in place that your employees can use if something bad happens. So with that introduction, I'd like to introduce you to Patrick Hardy, and welcome. Thank you for coming on today, Patrick.
Thank you for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
So tell me, I think I covered it a little bit, but basically what is the session you're going to be doing on Monday, and why should folks definitely put it on their calendar and plan on being there on Monday in Knoxville?
Well, I have to tell you, Mark, this is not going to be a session. This is not going to be that. This is going to be an experience. This is going to be something unlike people have ever done before. This is an opportunity for them. This is an all-day workshop, and it really is broken up into two different parts. The morning part is regarding CPR training, so it actually gives people an opportunity to get that sort of practical experience and being able to actually do CPR, and then they get the certification. We have the Red Cross coming, that we have Red Cross instructors who's going to handle it. They're bringing the equipment and the van and everything. Then after lunch, we're going to do the disaster preparedness portion, and it starts with actually providing them with a sheet that allows them to help them to develop a actual disaster plan that they can bring back to their parks. Then after that, we do a training, and you've been through this before a little bit. We kind of train people and show them what a real disaster training is about. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It doesn't have to be Chicken Little. It doesn't have to be blood and guts. It can be something that is empowering, because that's the message of real disaster planning. That's what makes disaster plans truly effective, is when they empower employees, they empower management, and to some extent, they empower the residents and the guests who are at the properties. Then it culminates in the disaster drill. And I can promise to every single person on here that this drill that we are going to put on is something that is going to be something you're going to remember forever. It is going to be incredible. We're going to have fire department out there, law enforcement is coming, we're going to have the ambulances coming out. And what we're going to do is, it's going to be so fun because we're going to take all the participants and we're going to block them into a couple of groups. One half of the group are going to be the responders. So they're going to be the ones who are actually going to be responding to this mock disaster. What disaster? Well, that's going to be a little bit of a surprise, just like a lot of things. But The second half, the other group of the participants are going to be the victims. So they're the ones who are going to be simulating injuries. And I tell people, I always give all my victims one instruction. I want you to give me Academy Award winning performances, because what we're looking for is people to simulate leg injuries, they simulate head injuries, they pretend like they're bleeding. We don't do actual blood and all that stuff. We don't want to traumatize anybody, but we ask people to really act it up and really give it so that it has a sense of realism. The fire department and the firemen, and you saw it in Temecula, the fire department was really involved, and they were actually there helping, rescuing, moving people around, using real backboards, doing all that, because it gives them an opportunity to practice also. And all the participants, everybody who wants to be involved, will be there at the drill. We're going to have lights and sirens. It's going to be a lot of running around. Alarms are going to be going off. A lot of people are going to be running around. It's just going to give people a wonderful opportunity to see what an actual disaster is going to be like. An actual disaster response is going to be like in a very controlled environment. And at the same time, at the end of the day, I want people to say that they had some fun. You know, I don't want disaster planning to be a slog. I don't want people to think, oh, I had to do the disaster plan. I had to go to this workshop. I want them to come out of it and say, you know what? That was actually kind of fun. That was really interesting. Because I find that when we do that, people get a brand new perspective on disaster planning, much like you had and a lot of the others had in Temecula 2 years ago.
You know, what I found, first off, everybody I spoke to at Pechanga loved it. I mean, and it was the talk of the event. And I know that this event will be the talk of ARVC OHCE. So the reason I brought you here is I wanted to let everybody know that if you're planning to go, because you're going to want to see me at the trade show, which is a wonderful reason to go on Monday. Because what you see the rest of the trade show will be awesome, but what you learn on Monday will be important. And this whole group is about improving parks and improving park operations and making it a better experience for guests. And I'll share a story with you, and it's kind of why Patrick really hit home with his event. So as some of you know, I'm a full-time RVer. I traveled the country, been doing it for 10 years. And there's been a lot of recent disasters that have occurred across the country. And in our case, we had our RV at Ventura RV Resort when that big Thomas fire broke out. And we arrived back at the resort as the flames were coming over the mountain down to the resort to evacuate our unit out there. And when we got back to the facility, we drove, because we were in Simi Valley at the time, and we could see the flames as we're racing back to our park. And I pull into the resort, and the manager's there, and she comes up and apologizes to me because the power's out. And I just was in shock. I'm like, power's out? There's a fire about to come over that mountain. It's going to be here in 10 minutes. You need to evacuate the park now. And it impressed me because she ended up acting. But as I'm in the process of getting my unit ready to go, because I'm out of there, I'm not going to be sitting in a unit that's made of sticks and has propane tanks on it as the flames are coming down the mountain. And I evacuated out of there. And because we were taking action to move, everybody else got out of there. And then I'll share a second story. So last year, some of you may have remembered, we were in Glacier National Park when the big fire broke out there. Now, some people have said, why are you at all these places when the fire broke out? I'm not responsible for it, so don't come after me. I happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You're just a black hat for disaster park, that's all.
So we're in Glacier National Park, and we see the smoke coming up, and we walk down there with our video cameras, and we start filming. And I'm out on the beach of the waters of Lake McDonald, and there's these young kids out on the beach, and so I start talking to them. They're the employees of the Lake McDonald Lodge. And they're just sitting there watching the fire. Now imagine your employees are sitting there watching the fire while your guests are completely oblivious to what's going on. And so I said to them, I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? You're going to be evacuating here pretty soon. And they looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. What do you mean you're going to be evacuating? I was like, isn't it obvious the fire is coming this way? You've got about 45 minutes. You should be ready to evacuate. That's what Patrick gets you ready to do. He helps you get those plans in place to where that employee sitting on the beach actually has something in their hand to where they can say, okay, I've got a fire, flip, flip, flip. First step, call, whatever the steps are, and they lay out those steps. So important, so valuable, and so much fun.
Yeah, it is. And you're absolutely right, which is I find that the real litmus test for disaster plans is when employees feel good enough to be able to pick up that red binder that nobody likes to look at or think about and they start to actually activate the steps. And the entire experience that we're going to be putting on Monday is a microcosm of that. It's an opportunity to say, listen, every single person will be participating, and every responder that is going to be involved, we tell them, you're responsible for doing this. We're going to put somebody in charge, and we're going to say, you need to direct people to make sure that they're doing things, because what you saw is exactly what happens. It is a story that can be told in so many industries where employees don't do anything, not because they don't want to do anything, it's because they're not empowered to do anything, or they don't feel like they can pick up the plan and say, you know what, that's my disaster plan too. So what we try and do is we try to instill the belief that the plan is for everyone. The plan has to be actionable. You have to train people. You have to make sure everyone understands how the plan works. When that happens, plan effectiveness goes out of the roof. It is crazy. And then what you saw starts to not happen at properties. You start to see management be able to turn to employees, even seasonal employees, where in the summertime they say, well, they're just 18 years old. They're just doing this for the summer. They're just this and that. And I go, well, what if you're not on property and they're the only ones on duty, or they're the ones at the desk, or they're the ones who find a disaster occurring? Don't you want them to do something about that? And that's really what this is about, is it says it doesn't have to be a slog. People don't have to be afraid to pull the plan out. I want people to say, this is my plan too. It's my opportunity to be able to put this into action, and then it's a chance to actually test the thing out. And so this session is meant to simulate that. Of course, it's only just a few hours, but it gives us a chance to really say, we're going to do this in a non-threatening environment, in a way that makes people feel included, and it gives them something to walk away with, not only just a CPR card, but it gives them a plan that they've developed that we're going to test. So the plan that they'll be doing in the first hour or so, we're going to take one of those and we're going to use that during the disaster itself. So that's why it's going to be so important to people for them to see how actionable plans can really be when they're done correctly. And that's how disaster responses are successful.
And for some of you who have not attended ARVC before, or maybe going back for the first time, one of the other benefits of this experience is it simulates disaster. And one of the things that happens, if a disaster could be like you go to colleges with a bunch of kids, you have a joint experience. What I found after the event in California is it brought everybody together in a community afterwards. So they started engaging in a different means and manner. So you're going to connect with other park owners that you've never met before on a different level, and really build some friendships. So I think the experience is going to be amazing. I will be there for opening day. I want you to be there. And so that's why I wanted to bring Patrick here. We'll probably do a few more of these as we build up to the event, but feel free to post some questions. I'll actually post the video from Pechanga into the Facebook thread, so you can see that video we did from that event, and know that he's taking it to another level for this event, but it was still an amazing experience. So Patrick, I'm looking forward to Monday. I appreciate you coming on with me this morning.
Thank you,
it's
Mark.
Patrick Hardy, Reverse Disaster. He will be at the ARVC OHCE on Monday. So when you're signing up for it, make sure you add on that add-on experience for Monday for the CPR disaster planning. I promise you, you will not regret this event. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.